Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're going to be bringing kind of a new series to the channel. A few years ago I did something with my beloved Ajax, and today we're going to be changing it a little bit and we're going to be focusing on Mexican football. It's going to be an update kind of based series. When there's sort of latest news and latest information, I'm going to be bringing it to you in a YouTube video where we talk about everything that's going on in Mexican football. If you're watching this and you don't know much about Mexican football but you would love to learn more, make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comment section, or message me privately what you are interested in, and I'm sure we can bring it in a future video. But today we're going to be bringing kind of information about the Copa America, some transfer news, players coming into the Liga MX and the players leaving. And yeah, I'm super excited, guys. Make sure you let me know down below what you think, and let's get straight into the video. So let's get into it, guys, and we're going to start with the Copa America, something very exciting happening this summer in the Americas. Whilst in Europe we obviously have the Euros, in the Americas we have the Copa America, as many people will know. So we have 16 teams in the competition. It's going to be held in the United States. The previous winners are Argentina. Whilst they are also the World Cup champions as well, they are understandably the heavy favourites going into the competition. But Brazil and Uruguay are two of the other teams that we can expect to challenge towards the latter stages of the competition as well. Nonetheless, amongst those 16 countries are Mexico. Mexico have named quite a surprising squad. Now, if you follow the website that I write for, you will see that I've done an article on this, sort of covering the provisional squad, looking at the players that have been called up, players that haven't been called up. And Jimmy Lozano's gone for quite a big change. You know, the likes of Ochoa, Raul Jimenez, Chucky Lozano, all three are, important big names in sort of recent Mexican football. Not a single one of them has been called up. And the reason for that really is to kind of prepare the national team for the 2026 World Cup, to give the players that are likely to be sort of at a better, more experienced stage at that time, just kind of the experience of being in a national competition, an international competition, should I say. And that's kind of why we see a lot of big changes in this squad. And it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. It's kind of the first time that a lot of these players would have played with each other, especially at this level. And so, yeah, they've played 2 games so far in their sort of pre-tournament preparations. The first game was against Bolivia. In this game, because it was a few days after the end of the season for a lot of clubs around the world, we saw a lot of under-23 players who haven't been called up to the provisional squad, but players that could do in the next few years get crucial experience. And it was a good experiment from Lozano, because they ended up winning 1-0, a very good result against the Bolivia side that will also be taking part in the competition. But the problem is for Mexico is last night they played against Uruguay. Uruguay, as I mentioned a little while ago, are one of the favourites, a very strong side under Marcelo Bielsa. They are currently second in the World Cup qualification for South American countries, doing very well for themselves. But they came up against Mexico in Denver last night and won 4-0. The problem for Mexico in this game is that, okay, this time they went from playing under 23s like they did against Bolivia to playing kind of not necessarily players that you would expect to start for El Tri, but players that will be in the squad, that they are in the provisional squad. They might start here and there across the 3 group stage games, but not so much. And this was another experiment from Lozano to kind of see if these players were ready to really test themselves and really actually push themselves for a starting 11 position. But this experiment backfired massively. They looked incredibly sluggish. They failed to mark their men. They gave Uruguay a lot of space in the attacking third, and they were punished badly. Darwin Nunez scored a hat-trick. I wouldn't necessarily say that any of his goals were particularly special individually, but I would say that the goals that he scored were off the back of very good Uruguay moves, a lot of fast, quick paced, high pressure play, something that we have come to expect from Bielsa from his time in Europe, especially at Leeds United. It's kind of a match for what we're seeing at Uruguay. But Mexico paid the price. Even Bielsa said after the game that this experiment was pointless, basically, from Lozano. why did he try and do that against a team such as Uruguay, a team that is very, very good at this level. So they have one more game left of their pre-tournament sort of preparations, and it is against Brazil. Again, another one of the favourites for the competition. And this time they absolutely have to play the likes of Santi Jimenez. Absolutely has to play Luis Malagon in goal as well. Jesus Vasquez has to play centre back as well. There's a lot of players, maybe Jorge Sanchez right back as well. There's at least 5 or 6 players who did not start or maybe came off the bench last night, but they just came on at a time where it was too late. The game was very much so past the control of Mexico. Nonetheless, their group in the competition is going to be with Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Now, for me, this is an exciting group. It's 4 teams that, in my opinion, are very similar levels. I think we would probably expect Ecuador and Venezuela to possibly qualify from the group if I'm giving an early prediction. Now, I might do a video just before the start of the Copa America actually breaking down each group, but I think you have to say the 2 South American countries are the favourites to go through. They've looked very good in qualification for the World Cup. Obviously, Ecuador did qualify for the 2022 World Cup as well, and Venezuela are looking good themselves. Now, that's not to rule out Jamaica themselves. They have a lot of talent, especially like Leon Bailey, someone who is very technical, very fast, and on a counter-attack can very much so hurt Mexico. Mexico themselves, it's going to be difficult to kind of see where they fit into this. I think the first game for Mexico is going to be against Jamaica, and they absolutely have to win that game. If they do not win that game, it's going to be very difficult for them to qualify, because they know that the next 2 games are going to be against very good quality. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But currently where we stand in the preparations for the competition is that Mexico have been humbled. They have to learn, absolutely. Even the players that did not start last night have to take a lesson from last night's performance, because it was completely subpar. It was very embarrassing for Mexico fans. And against one of the bigger countries, one of the better countries in the competition, it is a surprise that they didn't play a stronger side. But hopefully that means that they will make a lot of changes ahead of the weekend game against Brazil, and it will be a lot more encouraging for Mexico fans. But let me know down below, guys, where do you think Mexico will sort of fall in this? Will they make it out of the group? Will they go beyond the group stages? At what point will Mexico go this summer? And now we're going to stray away from the Copa America, and we're going to talk about the Liga MX. Obviously, the season just ended. Club America won their 15th Liga MX title. Congratulations to them at the hands of Cruz Azul. But we're not going to talk about any of those teams today. We're going to be talking about Leon, a team that did not make it in the playoffs. They did win the CONCACAF Champions League last year, and they were in the Club World Cup. But the reason we're talking about them is because they're going to be signing, or they are on the verge of signing, one of, if not one of, the greatest kind of goalkeepers in the modern era, a 3-time Champions League winner with Real Madrid, just been released at the age of 39 with PSG, got experience playing in the Premier League as well. That is Keylor Navas, the Costa Rican goalkeeper. Very much so looking to be on the last leg of his sort of journeyman career. He's obviously played in Costa Rica, Spain, France, England. And Mexico could be the final or one of the last steps of his illustrious career. It looks like Leon will be signing him on a free contract. Their goalkeepers currently are also quite old. They're 34, 35 years of age. But I guess with Navas coming in, he's proven that he's still got something to offer at domestic level. Could he do a good job for Leon? They desperately need to improve, because they, like I said, they didn't make it in the playoffs last season, and they're a squad that really should be pushing higher in the league. So yeah, Keylor Navas to Leon. Let me know what you think about that move. Is that a move that's going to work out well, or is it going to be a move that's going to end terribly? And then the last topic for today's episode is going to be about the 24-year-old Pachuca midfielder Eric Sanchez. And the reason we're talking about him today is because he could be the next on a long line of Mexican players that's going to be leaving Mexico to play in Europe. We've currently got the likes of Edson Alvarez, Santi Jimenez, Vazquez at Genoa, Orbelin Pineda at AEK Athens, and Eric Sanchez is being linked with a move to Sevilla. Now, from what I've seen about this, Sevilla have been monitoring the player for about a year, and it's exciting news for them because this last season for Sanchez has been his best sort of goal scoring season, his best attacking results. He's recorded 9 goals, 9 assists, and got an assist in the CONCACAF Champions League final this year as they went on to beat the Columbus Crew. So a very exciting player. He can play in the sort of number 10 position, he can play on the left, he can play in the number 8 position slightly deeper. So he's quite a versatile player, and from what I've seen about Sevilla is that they've had a very disappointing season. Sevilla are normally a side that qualify for Europe, but this season they had a terrible year, finishing in 14th place. I believe they have El Nesri, who could be moving to the Premier League, the striker who scored, I believe, somewhere around 16, 17 goals this season for Sevilla. But beyond him, their attacking options have failed to really produce, meaning that Sevilla have fallen down the league a lot, and they're looking for a sort of new, fresh, a new look team to sort of rebuild for next season. And Eric Sanchez looks like he could be the player to really solve a lot of those problems. The problem overall for Sevilla result within this deal is that Pachuca have said, look, we're happy to let the player go, but it has to be around 13 to 14 million dollars. But Sevilla have had a lot of financial issues, as have a lot of Spanish clubs over the last few years since the pandemic. And they've said, realistically, that's probably a little bit too high and too much out of their budget. They're willing to pay, from what I've seen, around 10 million. So it could be that they agree something that involves installments. But I believe personally that they could possibly get this deal over the line, especially if El Nesri does leave and go to the Premier League, because it would be expected that if he leaves, a lot of money would come into the club. So they could possibly bring in Sanchez, they could bring in a new striker as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, but it is very exciting for Mexican football just to see another player from the Selección be able to make that move over to Europe, and especially to see how he gets on making that jump from the Liga MX to potentially La Liga. But there is other interest for him as well, so if Sevilla can't afford to pay that money, it's possible that Copa America or Cruz Azul, 2 teams that are very interested in the player as well, could also make a bid for the player. But I've also seen recently, interestingly, Real Oviedo, who are in the second division, they're currently in the playoffs for the second division and could get promoted to the first division, La Liga. If they get promoted, they could also be in the race to sign Sanchez as well. So it's a second La Liga team that could be interested in signing him. But from what I've seen, Sanchez has firstly said that he's more interested in moving to Europe, which makes sense. He's 24 years old, very much so coming into the prime years of his career, and would love to kind of improve his game. And it makes sense for him from a development standpoint to go to Europe. But then also Oviedo is interesting because if they get promoted, it's a team that will be looking to rebuild and really improve what they can offer to the top division. And Sanchez could be a key part of that. But again, like with all of these topics today, you're going to have to let me know what you think down below. And that's just about everything for today, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Is this something that you're interested in? Mexican football, whether it's the national team or the domestic league? Is there anything in particular you don't understand that you want to learn more about? I'm very much so new to Liga MX as well. I've been living in Mexico for about a year and just been trying to soak up as much information as possible about the league, about the national team. But yeah, if you are interested, make sure to follow this channel. Make sure you look at Viva Liga MX, the website that I write for, where I'll be writing a lot more articles as news lines come in, especially as we come into the transfer season. Which players will be leaving Mexico, which will be coming into Mexico. Will Keylor Navas be coming to play in Mexico? Very exciting for Liga MX if he does join Leon. And also Mexico as a country, how will they do in the Copa America? Make sure you let me know down below, guys. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Peace out.